All right.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everybody.
So, Carolyn, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure. Welcome, everybody. Today, Albertine and I are going to be talking about conundrums in the chart. We're going to explain what they are for those who are not familiar with the terminology. And then we're going to talk a little bit about what they might look like. And then we will be taking your questions. And you'll be welcome to share your birth information. We'll pull up your chart and we'll see what's going on with you. I'm joined with Albertine today.
Hi. So, yeah, I can tell you a little bit about myself before we get going. I find conundrums very interesting because one of my intuitive gifts is being able to see the relationship between the bodies of the aura. So when I look at the human design chart, I can see where you're not congruent energetically with what your design gives you the potential to fully be yourself energetically. So for me, it has that little extra special je ne sais quoi. Because like I really see how conundrums are creating internal conflict in your energy. So that my background has to do with studying energetic medicine. I've been doing that like for 30 years now. So I find human design really is very accurate actually to show the wiring energetically. So I look forward to answering your questions. If you have challenges, and look at your chart and tell you where you could improve using your energy better.
So I want to talk a little bit about some of the common conundrums we might find in a chart and try to explain exactly what a conundrum is. So the chart is basically a flow of energy. It's like a blueprint of energy circuits. And sometimes the energy is not always flowing the same way, or it's not always complementing the other circuits in the chart. So when circuits come in conflict or they don't necessarily support each other, then we refer to that as a conundrum. And then there's also other things in the chart that can show up that we consider conundrums. And some examples of that would be open pressure centers like the open head or the open root center, the open G center, having split or triple split or even a quadruple split definition can be considered a conundrum. Those are a few examples. Albertine, do you want to add a couple? Or?
Yeah, there's conundrums like for me, for like a good example, I'm a 2-4 profile, so sometimes you see a conundrum in the dynamic of the profile. You know, it's like being a hermit, but also needing to socialize. Sometimes it takes me a lot. It takes a lot of effort to like get my energy to want to be social, because I'm quite comfortable in like the quiet where I can hear myself think, and I like my own company. But once I'm around people, then that's fun too. But it's a real conflict for me, because my nature is definitely more being a hermit than social. And apparently when I'm social, when I'm really in the mood, I'm like a sailor in town. So it's a little bit extreme, but that's also part of my chart. I have the gate 15 in my Venus. Is it my Venus? Yeah, my Venus. So yeah, I love people, but it's definitely a conflict. So profile is another place where you can find conundrums. And I guess like even your type, if you're conditioned and you're not living to your full potential of your type, it could cause a lot of inner conflict.
Mm-hmm. So I want to point out that the purpose of conundrums in the chart are not to cause us grief. They're opportunities for us to grow and support our soul purpose. So being aware of your conundrums and then learning to work with them, understand them, and overcome the challenges is part of why they are there in the chart in the first place. And so we don't want anybody to think that conundrums are bad or that they're not desirable, because they are. They're very important to what we need to learn in this lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll add a little bit more to that. What I've come to see and realize with the human design is human design like shows you your ultimate potential to fulfill your soul purpose, your presence as an energetic being on the planet. So when I look at the human design, it's like looking at like the unadulterated version of you energetically. And when I hear like where you're at with your story in the moment, it's really easy to see where you're not using your energy to its full potential and for the maximum outcome. And the conundrums are really there to encourage us to live our life so that we can be soul presence on the planet and behave like from a point of view that is purely dynamic and energetic. So that's where it becomes really important to realize like what are the stories we're telling ourselves, what are the belief systems we have, and where we're conditioned and where we're like really not honoring what our energy wants to do. And that's when we even have to pay more attention to our authority and our strategy. So that's important.
All right.
Right, so I have a chart for Judy, and I can share my screen, but the only problem with that is I won't be able to take questions while I'm in my screen. So I'm going to do that real quick now, and then as we get more, I'll run other people's charts and bring them.
Thank you, Kristen.
Okay. And Judy's question with her chart is that she cannot seem to get things done for herself. Oops, I just lost the chat. And she has a hard time pushing through things. She's a 3-5 projector, and she's wondering, let me see if I can pull the chat up here.
Yeah, I can see.
She can't push through things to do things, and it looks like maybe she does things for others more so than herself. No kidding. Look at that open will center.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing that jumps out at me is you've got the solar plexus defined and the root center defined. So both those two centers have a pulse of their own, and sometimes it will be on and sometimes it will be off. So if you're trying to push through and your pulse is off, it's really a time to be more reflective, more internal, and get clarity over time. So it's actually really important for you to spend the time. And also you've got the gate 40. So it's really important for you to take the time to think and feel through what's been placed in front of you. Like you're not designed to be spontaneous. If people ask you to do something, a good strategy for you would be to say like, okay, that sounds really good right now, but I need to sleep on it and maybe give you an answer tomorrow. That's the first thing I see. What do you see?
Well, I hope I'm understanding this right. It sounds like she can't get things done for herself, and that she's feeling pressure to do things for other people. And with the open will center, it's very easy for us to agree to do things when we're in the presence of other people. So in addition to sleeping on it, I would also advise when people ask you to do something that you say, can I get back to you on that? And then take some time out of their energy and decide whether you truly want to do that or not. Now with the open identity center, you can question your lovability, you can question your sense of identity, and you may feel pressure to do things so that you can be more likable or more lovable, and to make decisions out of that. So that's another challenge in the chart.
Yeah, and also she's got the gate 29, so you're likely to say yes to everything before giving yourself the time to feel into it and think about it. So that's something to be careful about, and really making the effort to ask for that time and space for you to have a clear yes. Like if you know the rhythms of your wave, your emotional wave, it's really important that it's a consistent yes, because otherwise you'll say yes and then you won't have the energy to follow through, but push to do it, because I mean you have both like G center and will center open, so like there's a lot of potential for wanting to do things to be lovable, accepted, and prove that you can do it. So be careful about that.
Another thing I would add is that you don't necessarily have the energy to get things started, but you do have the energy to bring things to a conclusion. So for yourself, if there's something you want to do, you may want to reach out to your circle of friends and family and look for a little bit of a Kickstarter to get going, and then you should be able to take it from there. This might be challenging for you because you have an open throat and you can be challenged in expressing yourself. But definitely lean on some people and be willing to ask for some assistance to get going, and don't judge yourself for not getting things started because you're not really designed to be an initiator. First of all, you're a projector, you need to wait for an invitation. And secondly, you don't have the gate 53, but you do have the gate 42, which is the energy for completing tasks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you might actually feel the pressure to finish things, but it's not your job all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool. Should we go on to the next one?
Yeah. Kristen,
Now, we have someone raising their hand, but I'm not sure what her question is. So I'm going to bring her up real quick.
Yeah, I can't really see all that stuff for some reason. So
Dorothy?
Hello, I'm here.
Hi, Dorothy.
Hi, guys. I have a chart of my son. I'm wondering if you could look at it and see what you see for conundrums on his chart for me.
All right.
Yes. Now, how do I get the chart there? I have it on my screen, but can you?
Oh, there's a button at the bottom of the screen that says share screen. It's a little green rectangle with a green arrow.
It's not there. I'm wondering if I can, because I think some settings are not available right now. So can I attach it somehow to this, or?
Maybe
No, you need to email it in to Karen@joyfulmission.com.
Oh, is that?
And then I'll be able to see it if you can't share your screen. Whenever I move you to the panelist, you're supposed to be able to do that. So it's interesting. Oh, no wonder I haven't promoted you. Okay, wait. Now I promoted you. I just unmuted you.
Oh,
all right. So now see if you can share your screen, Dorothy.
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Yay!
all right.
Yay! All right.
Okay, we see you. We don't. There we go.
There we go. There it is.
Can you
All
see
right.
it large enough?
Yeah. So, is he having a specific challenge right now, or you just want to see where there's potential conundrums?
Not really a big challenge now. He's being brought into more leadership roles at work, and I think he kind of struggles with being a leader in a way, like moving forward in that sense. So, yeah.
The first conundrum I see is that the 3-5 profile can be very challenging. These are people that are experimental, yet they're projected upon, and they can struggle with their relationships, being put into a leadership role. He definitely has some energy for being a leader, but not authoritarian. More so like the figurehead, the king or the queen, and he has the strong will. So people are looking to him to prove himself. And he's definitely committed to the process.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, the type of leadership that I see in his design has initiative qualities to it, but it's also to maintain a sense of peace and harmony within like the group. So he could be approaching that with like, you know, being reserved and not wanting to rock the boat and step on anybody's toes. So depending on how he feels confident and secure within himself, that's going to affect his ability to communicate what he, you know, how to give direction, because he does have natural leadership, and he could also be feeling the pressure to answer other people's questions and take care of other people's problems with an open head like that. But it to me, like, it would really, I'd be curious to like hear what kind of struggles he finds with taking on his role as being a leader.
I'm wondering if he feels he has to check himself, because if you look in the moon, he's got some energies out there that could maybe push people's buttons. You know, he's highly opinionated, and you know, with the trying to figure out what's worth fighting for, and the open throat, he may have pushed in the past and gotten some blowback, and now he may be hesitant to share his opinions, and he may be dialing back on his drive to fight for things. He may not be fully owning it.
Mm-hmm.
Or he may feel with that open throat that he doesn't have the power to do that, or he doesn't have the resources because he's looking for resources. He's constantly reaching for resources so that he can execute his position as a leader, as the king. So he's constantly striving to make sure that he has enough to do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
On top of that, the open emotional solar plexus is going to make him sensitive to how other people feel about him, what their emotions are. He's going to amplify how they feel. And with the open head, he can be creating all sorts of stories about how people may feel or view him, about him or view him. So that can maybe tap him down a little bit as well. But he's here to, he's able to evaluate and process data and look at things from a wide range of viewpoints, so that he can come to a very, fair and equitable position instead of being really fixed in the way he sees issues and problems. So that's a real strength of his.
Yeah, the other thing I see in the chart is that he does have the commitment to like whatever task he's given, he's going to be fully committed to it. But the 28 unconscious in his Venus, like his values, he might not know this about himself, but he might have a tendency to take the more difficult road to get things done. Like, depending on like the level of experience and wisdom that he's gained from all his experimenting, I would see that has a lot to teach him and for him to grow into, because there is the wanting to make a contribution with that gate 1 in the north node. So that's something I would pay attention to.
Wow, that's fantastic. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
All right, so ladies, I'm going to bring up another chart. And Dorothy, can you please stop sharing?
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you, though. Thanks for
Thank
sharing.
you so much. Yes. And then I'm going to message y'all in the chat so that y'all can see the question. And then here is the screen share. I don't know if it.
Okay, we have a chart to go with this, Kristen?
Yes.
Okay.
Wrong one. Hold on. Okay, and here's the chart.
And who is this from?
This is Monday.
Monday. Oh, interesting.
And this was the last long question that you posted, Kristen, about.
I posted it to y'all. Y'all are the
Okay.
only ones who the question.
Okay, okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. The first thing I was looking for here with her question was her profile. Do we know what her right angle, what her incarnation cross is? Is it right or left angle?
All right, can you see I scroll down and it is a left angle cross of duality.
Okay,
Ah,
okay.
And I'm going to scroll back up now.
mhm. Oh, you're the one moving the screen. I was like, why is it moving?
Well, first of all, the thing that, and I'm trying to weave this into your question, but you definitely have a strong push-pull right in your incarnation cross. You have a strong sense of individual energy. It's all, you're different, you're here to be different. And then you have this strong tribal energy on the other hand, where you have this desire to be part of a community. And both of these energies are up in the sun and the earth. They're part of your incarnation cross. So right there, you have a real push-pull between being independent, being an individual, being who you are, being different, knowing you're different, and wondering why you're different. How come you can't be like everybody else? And then there's, yeah, you have this strong tribal sense of community. And right there is a conflict. Like, where do I belong? That would be further challenged by that open head, taking in a lot of pressure from the people around you and their expectations and their ideas. So that's what I see first right off the bat.
Yeah, I think it's really wonderful that you're aware of how you get pulled into other people's thoughts. And you're like, you find yourself being pulled out. I mean, the pressure center is, it's all open. You don't have any gates attached to that. But the first thing that jumps out at me when I look at your chart and feel into the energy of it is, how much time do you actually give yourself to be still and focus on the things that are important to you? Because all the motors in your chart are defined. And there's a lot of information coming at you all the time. You've got like one of the most psychic channels, defined. Like, so that's what I would ask you is how much time do you spend time with your own internal thoughts and process with the things that are of interest to you, so that you can discern what is, for your highest good, and not feel so much pressure for taking care of other people and their needs.
And then I'd also point out she has the channel transformation. She has the 5125 there, and 51's up there in the moon, the unconscious moon. So that's some other intense energy. And you have the gate 30, which just kind of amps up everything in the chart. So this dual feeling that you're feeling of individuality versus tribalism, and then on top of that, this drive to transform people, to create change in people's lives, all that is dialed up by that 30. And the 30 is in Jupiter, which is expansive. Oh my goodness. So definitely having time away and time to be quiet is going to be important, because you do have a lot of motors energy that's going to keep you going. And with that open head, you can be going in a lot of different directions and experience a lot of disconnection as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know the conflicting energy for you that I can sense would be coming from, you know, the information that maybe you're not able to fully tune into because there's so much noise coming in from the outside. And that would be another reason to really make time for yourself to have the space and quiet to really hear yourself thinking and shutting out the noise on the outside. And also like giving yourself permission to rest, right? Like when you have a defined will center, it's important to take time out where like you're not thinking about anything, you're just being in your own energy to really recharge and get a sense of who you are. And then that should help you figure out like what's of importance to you and the information that you're getting, because I think you're probably getting more than you realize. um there's a lot of, like Carolyn pointed out, like intensity. So it's important to like give yourself a pacing with it. That would be the best recommendation I have for you.
And I see even more challenges with that now. So dialing back to basics, you're a manifesting generator designed to do multiple things at one time.
Uh-huh.
Easily and quickly inspired. It is so important, if you can, to slow down, take a moment, make sure that you're responding to things rather than just going off on impulse and inspiration, and taking a moment to visualize. This is going to be especially challenging for you because you happen to have that a particular energy that causes you to get bored easily and jump into things before you should, and then the result is generally chaos.
Yeah,
So
your mindset's going to be really important. Your mindset's in Saturn.
mhm. Yeah, so definitely taking time to visualize and waiting to respond to things in your life, identifying what you need to respond to, using that sacral energy, and on top of that, you have to wait for your emotional wave, which somebody with this much energy, it's kind of hard for you to back off and wait for that. Um, Definitely meditation is like a
Yeah,
serious prescription here.
it's a must, right? It's like find your own connection to source and how
Mhm.
that has meaning to you, not how it's defined by other people. And that will keep you grounded more in your energy so that it's not so scattered.
Yeah, and if you look at her Jupiter, you know, connecting to source is actually defined along with intensity. There's the potential for some really serious experiences that could transform you on a very deep level. But it is a matter of turning the noise down around you so you can be aware of and tuned into the synchronicities that show up in your life and
Yeah.
recognize and respond to them. So,
I'd be curious to know like what phase you're in, if you like you're still in the experimental phase, or are you on the roof, or are you about to come off the roof? Because that could be also creating pressure as a role model.
mhm,
So take good care of yourself.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, do we have a next one, Kristen?
Yes, I'm going to go to the Facebook page, and we have a question there that I want to read. Let me just pull it up.
Oh, she's off the roof.
Oh, and if that's just recent and she's going through a Chiron return, we didn't have her Chiron.
Mm.
Okay, so Sarah Fine
You're
says,
welcome, Mundi.
do you need career advice for a 6'2" MG with left angle cross of the alpha? Thank you, a bit lost.
I just did a reading Friday of Ralphie yesterday. Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry, Kristen.
Yeah, of course. Do you have any career advice for a 6'2" MG with left angle cross of the alpha?
Does she have, do we have a birth year?
We don't have her chart. It's just a question.
Okay. First of all, it's without seeing all the dynamics in the chart, you're going to be sought out as a leader, as a democratic leader, not an authoritarian leader, but somebody that people can coalesce around. And you have vision, you have fantasy, you have the gate 41, which is the ability to visualize and see. It's the very beginning stage. It's the beginning of the human design year. It's that beginning pearl where you get you get an idea and you start to think about, how can I bring this to fruition? And people around you are going to come to you and draw that out of you. They're going to draw out and ask you to lead them. And you have other energies. You have the ability to bring people into this idea and give them the rationalization that they need to implement the idea. So it's strong energy, but it works in response. That's the thing. Unless you were, if you were a manifester, then that would be a conundrum, because here your cross is saying that you need to do this in response, but then as a manifester, you go out and do things.
She's a manifesting generator, isn't she?
We don't have her chart.
No, but
did she say she's a manifesting generator?
yeah.
Yeah, she did. She's a 6'2" MG.
Yeah.
Manifesting generator.
Get out of your way. You're going to draw this to you, and people are going to seek you out to lead. So I think it's really important that you do the things that inspire you, and that you don't get caught up being busy doing other things that are blocking that energy. Your opportunities are going to show up for you.
Yeah.
And she's a 6'2", right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that jumps out at me just like tuning into all this is also make sure that you have solid agreements with people so that they don't project onto you what they think you said that you didn't say, so that it stays clear to honor your energy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then we have another question in chat that says, I'm a 6'2" reflector, and if open centers indicate conundrums, I'm in serious trouble. Do you consider open centers a problem in general?
No.
I don't think of them as problems. I think of them as, if you allowed yourself to tune into the energies of all the open centers, you already have like innately the wisdom of all the gates, and it's a place of growth. It's a place where you learn about the different energies of each of the centers and acquire wisdom. And if you are in a place in your life where you're really susceptible and vulnerable and you don't know your own energy, that's where like you amplify the energy of those gates in the centers. And that's where you learn, is by having the experience. And it can feel really intense, right? Like when we have a lot of energy coming at us, it can feel really intense and overwhelming. But it's you're meant to just have a taste of the experience and not hold on to the energy, and really like glean from it the wisdom. That's
Absolutely. It's very important who you surround yourself with, because you are so open to energy. So you want to be careful that you're not around a lot of negative energy. And also make people aware that you need time. Don't let people pressure you into making decisions, and let people know that you also need to speak. You need to talk. You need to talk things through. But again, I want to point out that open centers, even certain open centers are a conundrum, that doesn't mean that they're negative. It doesn't mean that they're bad. Reflectors are a tremendous gift to us, and you are very important to assessing the health of our communities and our world. So the biggest thing is being aware of how susceptible you are, and managing who you allow into your space, and staying on top of how you interact and not letting people pressure you into making quick decisions, or pressure you into not sharing and talking things through because it's very important to you.
Yeah, and the other thing about being a reflector and having all your centers open, it's like it's really important for you to have the clarity about who you are as you like get a feel for different energies, because you know it's important to have good boundaries around that so that you're not keeping things out, but you're creating a boundary so that you can be more of yourself in all the energies that are surrounding you, because it can feel like you can get lost and not and lose the sense of who you are as you're reflecting all the energy around you. So if you have a good baseline for your own identity and you have solid, strong boundaries to be more of yourself in the energy instead of letting the energy overwhelm you, you're gonna do a lot better. And it's okay to spend a lot of time alone in nature.
Not only is it okay, it's necessary. It is. It really is. We should write a prescription for you. Go walk outside every day.
Yeah.
In a quiet, natural setting that is really essential to you.
Natural sounds, natural rhythms, natural textures, bare feet, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, so this chart is Renee's, and she is wondering with whatever conundrums you find, how can she work through them in the highest and healthiest way?
Okay.
So here's the bottom, the projector 4-6 opportunist role model, and her incarnation cross is the right angle cross of the 4 ways.
The first thing I want to say is that if you're going to be a mental projector, I think the 4-6 is probably the best profile you can have to do that.
Yeah,
Because
really, you're lucky with that one, yeah.
That is like a super blessing. Yeah, you really, really are fortunate. You just like the person we just spoke with, you need to talk things through, and you feel a lot of pressure with the open head and the open root center, and then you're picking up on people's emotions, you're picking up on the need to prove yourself, your identity, all of this is in flux. So you your family, your colleagues, as a sounding board to help you work through things. That's going to be critical for you. It doesn't help that you have the 19 way up, that you're highly sensitive. A lot of potential to be really wise about people around you, intuitively and otherwise.
Yeah, there's a lot of wisdom in like the information that you know intuitively, and it might not make any sense to you at all because there's no point of reference for it, but I would really encourage you to trust it and watch out for the places where you feel like you know, the information comes out like in a way that's shocking and repulses people. As a projector, you know, you are here to guide and manage and direct a certain group of people. You're like the information that you know is not going to be for everybody. So don't feel like you're being rejected or you're not lovable or there's anything to prove. The wisdom that you have is, I mean, it's incredible. I'm curious to know what you know. But yeah, definitely, that's where I would be careful, is not take things, like you really cannot take things personally and how people receive you, and waiting for the invitation and like using the strategy, like the one that I like, because I have a lot of projected gates and channels from my head and ajna, is if you are part of a conversation and people don't ask you what you think, and you have something to say that would really make a difference because you see it like in such a different way, I would really invite you to start saying like, you know, I'm seeing this really differently and I'm hearing very like things that are very different, and are you guys interested in hearing it? And in that way you're honoring your wisdom. And if they say no, it's okay. You don't have to share. But if they do say yes, people will really benefit from what you have to say.
One other thing I'd like to add is that you have this intuitive energy, but there's other energy that's going to kind of cause you to question yourself, and maybe keeping a little notebook, and every time you get an intuitive hit in the moment, and it passes really fast. That's why it's so important that you document it, because over time, looking back at that documentation is going to satisfy your need for detail and your need to rationalize what you're feeling. So honoring that part of yourself and making a written record of it so that you can learn to trust it is going to be really, really helpful in you developing that strength of yours.
Mm-hmm. Good idea. Do we have someone else?
Awesome. Yeah. So someone is saying, and I don't have her chart yet. It says, I'm currently working on my destiny/purpose, and I'm having difficulty working out how to harmonize my Saturn conundrum and feel I have a number of other conundrums.
Hmm. Okay.
And we're just waiting on the chart?
Yes.
Okay. Is this from Angela?
Yeah. Angela.
Yes.
She says she has the chart. Can we share her screen?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Okay, so Angela, I'm going to make you a panelist. Just find you real quick. And now that you're a panelist, Angela, you'll be able to share your screen. This is perfect.
Here we go.
And you're unmuted.
I still see a red stripe through her mic. Oh, there we go.
Now, share screen.
Yeah, at the bottom of the screen, there's that little green. There we go.
all right.
Woohoo! Hmm.
It's what everyone says when they look at my chart.
So you're feeling that you don't know how to harmonize the energy?
I was just looking at the Saturn earlier. I don't know how to do. I've just gone through my Chiron return, and probably going through it again. So I'm in that turning 50, and so I'm going through all that, and I'm just, I don't know, a little lost.
Right. Well, the first thing that comes to me for you is how much time do you spend feeling into what you're thinking instead of like taking direction from what you think only? Because feeling the energy for you and trusting like the guidance of the way the energy wants to move is going to serve you way better, especially like in your own body, like where you feel in, like what are the things that you do that feel in harmony, where like what are the things that nourish your well-being in your body, where you feel like absolutely like, you know, you're on cloud nine. That's the experiences that you need to go to set the baseline for the experience that you want to have to grow into. Would be
Right.
my
So it's
advice.
usually bushwalking or riding my horse
What's that? Riding your horse?
or bushwalking.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that quality of experience, that quality of freedom, that quality of connection, you want to bring into everything that you do. Apply it to everything that you do and get involved with. And that's going to reveal to you one step at a time what your purpose work is going to be about and keep your energy harmonized.
Are you able to sort of quickly, like, I'm even confused just what my purpose is. So, I mean, what are the, there's a lot of wisdom in that chart. What do I do with it?
There's a what?
I said, there's a lot of wisdom in that chart. What do I do with it?
There is between the defined head and ajna and the 1-3 and the 48 doubly defined and the 18. You're literally
You're
mentally
here to
heavy.
be a healer. Your Chiron is in gate 25, both conscious and unconscious. So I don't know what kind of studies or line of interest you have, but anything that has to do with healing, I would keep building on that foundation of information.
Yeah, I've been doing that for doing it on and off for about 10, 15 years. So
Uh-huh. So as a
not
1-3 profile, you've done a lot of like research, investigation, and now you're probably getting a sense of like what works, what doesn't work, and what really turns you on, right? And it could be that you have a modality that is all your own that doesn't have a point of reference anywhere else
yeah, pretty much.
that you need to share with us all.
Do you tend to question your competency?
Constantly.
Okay, stop it.
Mhm.
You know far more than you know, and you've got to just breathe into it and feel it and embrace it and understand that first of all, you have nothing to prove. You're not here to prove anything. You're just here to be, and everything in your chart just guarantees that you're going to be proficient at what you're doing. So learning to trust that and own that as you go out and share what you've known. You're here to help transform people. You're here to push people. If you're just coming into your Chiron, then you've got a pretty transformative channel being defined at this time. And your Saturn's a way off. You've got good 8 years or so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I look at your design, I see like, you're the kind of person who probably has conversations with spirit source on a daily basis, and you get these big downloads of information. And if you haven't started writing down some of the nuggets of wisdom that you receive, I would start doing that, because over time, all the dots are going to connect, and then you'll have it all in your notebook, and it will find a place in form in your body. It will all click together.
Even looking at the incarnation cross, everything there points to, being solid in what you do. Writing across the consciousness, yeah. But you're gonna question and doubt yourself from time to time. But
From time to time.
yeah, but I mean, you're so you have the two energies in your conscious self shows that you're right there. You've got the strength and you've got the depth and the intelligence and the consistency.
Yeah. I think like trust the information that you know, apply it to your experience and what feels right, what feels good, and what gives you that feeling of like complete freedom and connection, and evaluate all the information, from that place instead of doubting yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. I think we have time to do another one, huh?
All right, so the next one is going to be Cynthia. I'm going to share her chart really quick. And she says, and her questions in the Q&A, if y'all want to take a peek, it says, I'm wondering if the 463 channel, 4764 are conundrums or whatever other conundrums you see, especially if it applies to splenic authority, spontaneous, along with all the waiting I should do, plus the 40 gate. Can y'all see her question? Because I can tell, I can't even, I read that
Right.
really weird. Can y'all see her question?
I haven't pulled it up. I'm looking at the chart, and I kind of want to just comment on the chart before going directly to her question.
Okay.
First, understand none of the channels are a conundrum. They're all gifts. They're all strengths and powers. And here you have splenic authority that knows what to do in the moment, and you have the ability to get chunks of information that come in very, very quickly. That's a really nice combination to have. You may not trust it because you're highly investigative. The one with the 1-3 profile. The conundrum again would be in, challenges with an open identity and the open will center and feeling like you have to prove anything. And you, again, with open will, you have nothing to prove. You look to other people to prove their worthiness or their validity. You're here to discern about other people, but not to prove yourself.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you want to read into it, like the 6447, that channel is like you get downloads, but you don't necessarily get to know how it is going to unfold, because it's kind of like the download that's like the big picture. But if you keep your mindset focused on receiving the gift of it, you'll get the aha moments later. And that's kind of, the built-in waiting period with that channel that I've experienced. And it's the same with like the 63-4. It's like we get information, we get downloads, and we think we have the answer. But it has to, feel like it's the right answer. It's not just coming from the mind. So the mindset for you is going to be really important, and also giving yourself the time and space to receive the aha moments and connect the dots. So writing things down and just, follow the breadcrumbs, because they're going to be shown to you one at a time. And sometimes it will seem like there's a lot of space in between. But when you get the aha moments, when the dots connect, it's like all the information will make sense all at once. And it's not going to feel like it's taken that long. In fact, like you're giving meaning and finding the answers to all the information, and it will transcend time and space and actually like give you an impulse into like further into discovery with the insights.
One challenge I see too is she can experience a lot of melancholy. You're going to have periods of time, and just understand that this passes, and that when we're in that space, we're in that lower gap. That's a chance for transformation and for learning about ourselves. It's kind of our chance to draw back a little bit and explore some darker things or some more difficult things, and then we kind of recalibrate and go forward. So understand that those moments when you are feeling that melancholy are actually opportunities.
Yeah, and the struggle for you is really like take it on as a real adventure and exploration for everything, for all the downloads that you get. That would serve you well.
And if we have time for one more question, this doesn't have a chart. It's just a human design question. She says, in general, if you're a manifesting generator, as my husband is, with a lot of projected gates and channels, he does have the gate 53, the gate, or it's the starting gate. When should someone like this wait, and when do they respond or initiate?
Their emotional authority is going to be the big key to that one. Waiting to respond, waiting to visualize, just going back to basics, and honoring that emotional authority, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, what shows up in your outer reality, and then responding, and then waiting out the wave, the emotional wave, so that it's a consistent yes.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank y'all so much for hosting today.
You're
It
welcome.
was
Thank
such
you.
a
This was
pleasure.
fun.
This did get recorded and it will be posted on the Facebook page. And if anyone didn't get a question answered, feel free to go back to the Facebook page, and Caroline and Albertine will be popping in there and
Yep.
checking that out at least if not today, tomorrow sometime. And so feel free to post in there.
Yes,
And
and just I think it was mentioned in the email, so thank you for that, Kristen and Karen, that I'm offering a session that's like 50% off for people who want to have a human design reading that has a little bit more depth from the perspective of someone like me who has the ability to see the energetic relationship of your aura with your design. So if that's of interest to anybody, that's available to you. And there's a link in the email. And I think we could probably post it on Facebook too, if that works.
yeah, absolutely. And we will be sending an email out tomorrow with the replay. So be looking for that as well.
Wonderful.
Okay. Well,
And
thank
you,
you,
Karen,
everybody.
what
Yeah,
were you
and
going
I'm
to offer?
also offering human design readings with 2 follow-up coaching sessions so that you can get support in implementing and understanding that the information that you get and applying it in your life so that it shows up in a meaningful way. So my email is in the Facebook page, and I'd welcome anybody to check it out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Just a quick thing, someone asked about what is a projected gate or channel. There's numerous projected gates or channels. These are gates that have a specific energy. So that's a little bit more than we could get into at this time.
Yeah, so make sure you post on the Facebook page.
Mhm.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Thank
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 you,
you so much.
everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Have a beautiful weekend.